When did the high school legend become a legend? We had this kid in our school, Ethan. Quiet, always in a black hoodie, hood up, earbuds in, sat alone at lunch, never raised his hand. If you didn't have a class with him, you wouldn't even know he existed. But those of us who did, we knew. Ethan wasn't just smart. He was scary smart, especially in math. The kind of kid whose homework got passed around like a sacred text before tests. More than once, a teacher used his assignments as the answer key. But he never bragged, never joined a club, never even looked up unless called on. Then came AP Calculus. Our teacher, Mr. Reynolds, was infamous. He didn't just call on students. He hunted them. If you hesitated for even a second, he'd tear you down. No teasing, no mercy. He once made a kid cry over a pop quiz. Then came that Tuesday. It was cold. The heater in the classroom barely worked, so everyone was miserable. Mr. Reynolds was in rare form, firing off questions like he was thinning the herd. Then he turned and tapped the chalk against the board. Ethan, heads turned. You could feel it, the moment locking into place like a scene from a movie. Reynolds wrote out a monster equation. Long, ugly. Just looking at it made your head hurt. Let's see if you're as smart as they say, Reynolds sneered. Ethan didn't react. He stood up, walked to the board, and just stared. No twitch, no fidgeting. Just calm. Then he reached for the chalk. But instead of solving it, he erased the whole thing. Silence. Then with smooth, deliberate strokes, he rewrote the equation. Same concept, but cleaner, tighter, like watching an engineer fix a broken circuit. Then in that quiet, steady voice, he said, "The original problem is incorrect. It can't be solved the way it's written." Reynolds stiffened. "Are you saying I made a mistake?" "Yes." Flat, simple, no hesitation. Someone whispered, "Holy shh." What followed was 5 minutes of Ethan breaking it down, calmly explaining the error step by step. Not arrogant, not mocking, just teaching. Reynolds tried to argue, but Ethan had already dismantled it. At one point, he even handed Reynolds the chalk. "You can plot it yourself," he said. "It won't work." Reynolds didn't. Instead, he walked to his desk, flipped through his notes, checked the textbook. His hands were shaking. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he muttered, "Class dismissed," and left. That's when everything changed. Nobody clapped, nobody cheered. We just sat there processing. Ethan walked back to his seat, pulled his hood up, and opened his notebook, like nothing happened. By lunchtime, the story had spread. Someone made a meme, someone else made a fake fight poster. Ethan versus Reynolds, the final showdown. Even the seniors started nodding at him in the hallway. Oh, a few days later, a junior walked up and asked for help on a stats problem. Ethan glanced at their sheet, circled a few things, and handed it back. No words. Teachers started jokingly calling him Mr. Ethan. And Reynolds? He stopped cold calling students. He still taught, but his energy was different. He checked every problem twice before writing it on the board. Then 2 weeks later, we had a sub. Reynolds was out sick. No one knew if it was real or if he just needed a break. That day, during a group exercise, something crazy happened. Ethan stood up, walked to the front, grabbed a marker, and without a word, started writing out a shortcut on the whiteboard. The sub? He just watched. Didn't stop him. Didn't say a word, just stepped aside. Because by then, even the teachers knew Ethan wasn't just a student anymore. He was a legend.